One of the hardest lessons a man can learn too late is that attraction and love are not the same thing, yet most of us grow up assuming they are. We are conditioned to believe that if a woman laughs at our jokes, enjoys our company, or seeks our attention, she must love us. But attraction is fleeting. It can flare up in an instant, a confident glance, a calm presence, a strong masculine energy, and disappear just as quickly when circumstances change. Love, on the other hand, is deeper, built over time through respect, admiration, and shared experiences. The tragedy is that many men invest their emotional lives into women who are only momentarily attracted to them. They mistake the spark of attraction for a permanent connection, believing that their attention, affection, or devotion will somehow transform that temporary feeling into lasting love. When the attraction fades, they are left broken, confused, and heartbroken, wondering how something that felt so real could vanish overnight. This confusion is compounded by the fact that men often measure relationships logically. We track consistency, loyalty, and effort, expecting that these alone will secure a woman's love. But female psychology operates differently. Emotions are the currency, not rational proof. A woman may enjoy your presence and care for you deeply, but if desire is gone, attraction will not return no matter how much you give or how much history you share. This is why so many men, despite years of investment, watch the women they love drift away. Understanding the difference between fleeting attraction and genuine love is critical. Love is earned through mutual respect, trust, and shared emotional investment, whereas attraction can exist without it, often leading men to confuse intensity with permanence. Until a man internalizes this distinction, he risks repeatedly losing himself in relationships that were never built to endure. Men often learn too late that women are drawn not to what you give, but to who you are when you give it. It's a subtle but powerful distinction that most of us miss early in relationships. Many men believe that showering a woman with gifts, attention, affection, or time will secure her love. They think that by giving everything, by bending over backwards, they are proving their worth. But women are not attracted to desperation or neediness. They instinctively feel when a man gives from a place of insecurity or scarcity. When giving comes from a desire to buy her love or approval, it pushes her away rather than pulls her closer. On the other hand, a man who gives sparingly, yet confidently, communicates abundance. When his attention is measured and purposeful, when his affection is offered from strength rather than need, it becomes far more valuable. This is why men who give less but from a position of power often hold more influence in a woman's life than men who give everything immediately. Another lesson men discover too late is the danger of overconsistency. While men often think showing up daily, being predictable, and staying loyal will naturally increase love and desire, female psychology does not respond that way. Women crave emotional highs, unpredictability, and subtle mystery. A man who is always available, always predictable, or too easily read risks making her bored or restless. Boundaries, therefore, are essential. Sacrificing principles or overextending oneself to please a woman may feel noble, but it diminishes her respect. Respect and attraction are rooted in strength, self-possession, and the ability to withhold rather than overgive. The man who understands this gives from confidence, protects his energy, and maintains his own life, knowing that this is what sparks desire. The more you give from abundance rather than need, the more she values it, and the more she becomes emotionally invested in the man behind the giving, not just the giving itself. Another lesson men often learn too late is that women are drawn to mystery and emotional leadership, not explanations or logic. Many men think that being transparent, honest, and over-communicative will build intimacy and trust. They believe that revealing every thought, every insecurity, and every detail of their life will deepen the connection. In reality, overexposure kills attraction. Desire thrives on tension, uncertainty, and the sense that there is more to discover about a man. When a man lays out everything about himself too quickly, he removes the excitement, the spark that keeps a woman curious and emotionally invested. Women also test men constantly, not to be cruel, but to measure strength and stability. Sudden mood shifts, emotional games, or unexpected demands are often ways she gauges whether a man can maintain composure under pressure. A man who bends, apologizes unnecessarily, or reacts emotionally fails these tests, and she unconsciously loses respect. Conversely, a man who remains calm, grounded, and confident passes effortlessly. Women mirror the energy a man brings. If he is anxious, needy, or reactive, she distances herself. If he is calm, playful, or mysteriously unpredictable, she opens up emotionally and feels drawn in. This is why self-mastery is crucial. A man who can regulate his internal state controls the interaction without needing to manipulate her. Silence becomes a weapon, composure becomes power, and presence becomes irresistible. Weakness, overexposure, or a constant need for validation destroys attraction, while calm authority sustains it. Men who realize this often do so after heartbreak, when they reflect on relationships where they gave too much, explained too much, or failed to maintain emotional control. They see that the man who quietly held his ground, who remained a strong, stable presence, was the one who commanded desire and respect, often without even trying. Understanding this lesson transforms the way a man approaches. Men also learn too late that attention, comfort, and emotional spark operate on a very different scale than they expect. Many believe that constant texts, steady compliments, or consistent availability demonstrate love and will keep a woman invested. In reality, women do not crave endless attention, they crave meaningful, selective attention that feels valuable. When attention is easy to get and abundant, it loses impact. A glance, a compliment, or a small act of focus becomes powerful only when it is rare and deliberate. Men who overgive attention often find themselves exhausted, frustrated, and still losing her interest, while men who withhold and manage their presence create scarcity that naturally draws her in. Another lesson men discover too late is that comfort alone is not enough to sustain desire. Women may appreciate stability, safety, and routine, but these are not the foundations of lasting attraction. Emotional highs, unpredictability, and tension are equally important. When a relationship becomes predictable or too comfortable, she may unconsciously seek excitement elsewhere or even create conflict to reignite her feelings. This is the principle of polarity. Attraction thrives on contrasts. Masculine stillness against her storm, calm against chaos, mystery against curiosity. Perfection or constant predictability is boring, polarity keeps her emotionally alive. Many men fail to realize that she does not need a flawless partner, she needs a man who makes her feel something in the present. The fire of attraction exists not on paper, not in past actions, but in the energy he brings each day. If he becomes predictable, overly accommodating, or too available, that fire diminishes. Men who understand this early focus not on overgiving or smoothing out every conflict but on cultivating presence, tension, and energy that keeps her engaged. Scarce attention, emotional polarity, and the ability to make her feel alive are what sustain desire. Too many men learn this. Perhaps the hardest lesson men learn too late is that women come back not for what they did, but for how they made her feel. After a breakup, men often obsess over their loyalty, sacrifices, and history together, believing these tangible proofs of commitment will bring her back. They replay every moment, every gift, every act of care, hoping to remind her of their worth. But women do not fall in love with gestures or lists of past deeds, they fall for the energy, the presence, and the emotional experience a man provides in the moment. What she remembers is not the vacations, the gifts, or the long conversations, it is the feeling of safety, excitement, and being desired when he was at his strongest. This is why chasing, pleading, or over-explaining rarely works. Trying to convince her with words or past actions cannot recreate the emotional spark that initially drew her in. Silence, composure, and self-mastery often carry far more weight than desperate attempts to repair the connection. Women respect strong behavior over good intentions, and love without desire is not enough to sustain a relationship. Men who cling, beg, or overinvest after a breakup only solidify the perception of neediness, which erodes respect and attraction. The man who understands this focuses on rebuilding himself, regaining his strength, and cultivating the presence that initially made her feel alive. He does not try to control her feelings or force her return, instead, he becomes the man whose energy she cannot ignore. Strength, calm authority, and masculine presence are the forces that command attention, attraction, and longing. Men often learn this lesson after heartbreak, realizing that women are drawn to the emotions they feel with a man, not the history they share. If a man wants her to regret leaving, he must return to the essence of who he is, creating the feelings she once experienced rather than chasing approval or trying to earn her back. Emotions, not memory, determine her return. A.